I arrived at the old hotel, a grand building with a history that stretched back over a century. The ornate facade and the vintage decor spoke of a time long past, filled with stories and secrets hidden within its walls. As I checked in, the receptionist handed me my key with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Late that night, unable to sleep, I wandered the hallways, my footsteps echoing softly on the worn carpet. There was an eerie silence, the kind that makes your skin crawl. I noticed something odd as I explored an inconsistency in the floor numbers. There was a gap, an unaccounted floor that didn't match the hotel structure. Curiosity got the better of me. I found an old, dusty map of the hotel in the lobby, and sure enough, the floor was missing from it too. Driven by a strange compulsion, I decided to find it. After much searching, I discovered a hidden door behind a thick tapestry at the end of a dimly lit corridor. It led to a narrow, spiral staircase that seemed to descend endlessly. I descended into the darkness, the air growing colder with each step. The staircase finally ended at a heavy, iron door. Taking a deep breath, I pushed it open and stepped into the unknown. The floor I found was like a different world. The walls were covered in dark, damp stains, and the flickering lights cast eerie shadows. The air was thick with a musty, almost oppressive smell. As I ventured further, I heard strange noises, whispers, growls, and the skittering of unseen creatures. Suddenly, I felt a presence behind me. Turning slowly, I saw a shadowy figure standing at the end of the hallway. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and it started moving towards me. I ran, heart pounding, but the corridor seemed to stretch endlessly. Every door I tried was locked, and the figure was gaining on me. In a desperate bid to escape, I ducked into a side room. It was filled with old furniture and covered in dust, as if it hadn't been touched in decades. I hid behind a large, antique wardrobe, holding my breath as the door creaked open. The figure entered, its heavy breathing filling the room. I could see its feet moving slowly, searching. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually, the figure left. I waited a while longer before creeping out of my hiding place. I needed to find a way back upstairs, back to safety. The layout of this floor was a twisted version of the hotel above, with corridors looping back on themselves and dead ends at every turn. I found a stairwell that seemed to lead back up. Taking the steps two at a time, I emerged into the dimly lit corridor of the hotel's main floors. Gasping for breath, I made my way back to my room, locking the door behind me. I didn't sleep at all that night, keeping an ear out for any sounds from below. The next morning, I checked out, unable to shake the feeling that something from the lost floor was watching me. As I left, I glanced back at the hotel, its facade looking innocent in the daylight. But I knew better. Somewhere in the building was a place not meant to be found, a place where darkness dwelled and nightmares came to life. I never spoke of the floor to anyone, fearing they would think me mad, but I could never forget it. The memory of that night haunted me, a reminder that some secrets are best left undiscovered. Years passed, but the events of that night remain vivid in my mind. Every so often, I would find myself drawn back to thoughts of the old hotel and its hidden floor. I researched the history of the building, hoping to find some explanation. There were rumors, of course, whispers of disappearances, tales of guests who checked in but never checked out. The hotel had changed hands many times, and each new owner seemed more eager than the last to distance themselves from its dark past. One day, I received a letter with no return address. Inside was a single, yellow piece of paper with a message scrawled in a shaky hand. It calls to you. Return. I knew instantly what it meant, and though every rational part of me screamed to ignore it, the compulsion to go back was too strong. I booked a room at the hotel, noticing that it had been renovated since my last visit. The lobby was brighter, the staff friendlier, but the aura of unease still lingered beneath the surface. That night, I found myself wandering the halls again, searching for the hidden door. To my surprise, it was still there, hidden behind a new tapestry. The narrow, spiral staircase seemed even more foreboding than I remembered. I descended once more, the air growing colder with each step. The iron door was just as heavy, the darkness being just as oppressive. As I stepped onto the lost floor, I was met with a sense of déjà vu. The damp walls, the flickering lights, the whispers in the air, all exactly as I had left them. This time, I was not alone. Shadows moved at the edge of my vision, shapes lurking just out of sight. The feeling of being watched was overwhelming, but I pressed on, driven by a need to understand. I ventured deeper into the maze-like corridors, my footsteps echoing in the silence. I came upon a room that looked different from the others. Inside, I found old photographs, documents, and artifacts that seemed to belong to former guests. Among them was a journal, its pages filled with accounts of experiences similar to mine. Each entry ended abruptly, as if the writer had been interrupted. Suddenly, the temperature dropped further, and a chilling breeze swept through the room. The door slammed shut, trapping me inside. The shadows grew darker, and I felt a presence closing in on me. Panic set in as I realized I might never leave this place. In my desperation, I clung to the journal, hoping it held some clue to escape. One of the last entries mentioned a key hidden in the room, a key that could unlock the iron door from the inside. Frantically, I searched the room, overturning furniture and rifling through drawers. Finally, I found a small, rusty key hidden behind a loose brick in the wall. Clutching it tightly, I raced back through the corridors, the shadows closing in. The iron door loomed ahead, and with trembling hands, I inserted the key into the lock. The door creaked open, and I stumbled through, back into the narrow staircase. I didn't stop until I reached my room. Slamming the door behind me, I knew I couldn't stay another night. I gathered my belongings and checked out immediately, leaving the hotel and its dark secret behind. As I drove away, I couldn't help but glance back one last time. The hotel stood silently, its facade as innocent as ever, but I knew the truth. I had seen the darkness that lurked within, and I vowed never to return. The lost floor remains a mystery, a place out of time and reality. Whatever secret it holds, I am content to leave them buried. Some doors, once opened, should remain forever closed.